Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another installment in the AgilePoint Generative AI video series. This time, we're going to show you how you can take an existing Excel sheet and transform it into a working AgilePoint business application. Now, for those of you who have been with AgilePoint for some time, this functionality may sound vaguely familiar. And the reason behind that is for some years now, AgilePoint has had the ability to import an Excel sheet and all of the corresponding data and instantly transform it into a data entity where I can quickly build a form-based application. So to do that, what I would do is I would take my Excel sheet, navigate to the data entity module, and as you're seeing here, I can import a template. Now this gives me the ability to use a number of existing formats, things like XML, JSON, and of course Excel. So what I would do is select my file, upload it, and as you're seeing down below, I have an option here to import all of the data associated with that sheet. So in short, what would happen, the first row of my Excel sheet become the columns for my table, and everything down below would become imported as records. So using today's case as an example, here I have my columns for the table, and optionally down below, I could import all of the associated data records. So again, this has been in the product for some time, but today we're going to use Generative AI to import that same Excel spreadsheet and automatically assemble a form-based application. Okay, so let's bring our Excel sheet back. So what you're seeing on screen is an example of a sample employee table that I've downloaded. And what you're seeing across the top are various column types. Now, if you recall, Excel does have some limited column formatting options here. Things like text string, number, currency, date, time, percentage, etc. So just going through our list, our employee ID is going to be a number field. We have a few text fields, date fields, percentages, etc. So AgilePoint is going to interpret these and give us a greatly expanded set of field and column types once we've created our data entity. So with that being said, let's get started and build. Okay, so for today, we're going to build a form-based application. And we'll drop this into a category. Okay, now next, AgilePoint is asking me whether I'd like to create a widget form. For those of you who have followed the prior videos, you know that this is not going to be the case, as the widget forms are created with the express purpose of hosting on a landing page. Okay, so let's go ahead and use AI to build this application. And here AgilePoint is asking us, how would we like to use generative AI to build our business app? Now, just to recap, in prior videos, you'd seen a few of the options that you're seeing here on screen, starting with Let AI Decide, where we supply a prompt or a description of the application we'd like to build, and AgilePoint takes it from there. And more recently, you'd seen options using a PDF as well as an image or snapshot to build our business app. But as we mentioned at the top of the video, this is all about Excel. So what I'm going to do now is simply upload my Excel sheet. And AgilePoint is going to ingest that and begin building my application for me. Now, before we move away from the screen here, you notice that I just dragged over the Excel sheet from my local file store. Optionally, I could have hosted it in one of the document repositories that you're seeing here. Simply browse for the file. So a number of options here in terms of how you feed this sheet over to AgilePoint. Okay, so as you're seeing here, in just a matter of seconds, AgilePoint has ingested my sheet and suggested a number of fields to use in my application. Now from here, we can always massage the results that come back. We can recategorize, we can remove or add fields. So we're not locked in to that suggestion. Okay, so for the employee ID, let's go ahead and change that to a type of sequence number. Moving down here to job title, we're going to change that to a pick list and use one of our out-of-the-box pick lists. So for this, you're seeing the gear icon here where I can select an existing pick list or have AI generate a new one for me. But in my case, I know that I have a pick list called job title. Now here for department, we're going to do the same thing. So first, let's just recategorize that to a type of pick list. Click the gear icon. Select from an existing pick list called Department. Okay, so further down here, we have Gender. Again, we're going to make this a pick list. And I should have an out-of-the-box pick list called Gender. And just underneath here, you're seeing a field for ethnicity. We're not going to capture that as a part of this application, so we can go ahead and delete that one. You'll notice that for age, AgilePoint has correctly interpreted this as a numeric field, so let's go ahead and leave that as it is. And the same thing here for the hire date. That has been correctly interpreted as a date field, so we can go ahead and leave that as it is. Now here for salary, you're seeing an example of the expanded set of field types available in the AgilePoint world in comparison to Excel. So let's go ahead and recategorize that to a type of currency. And then for the city, we want to go ahead and rearrange that so it's sitting on top of the country field. Now with that said, for country, we can always recategorize this again to a type of pick list. And I know that we have an out-of-the-box pick list called country or region code. Okay, so now that we've massaged the results here, everything is looking pretty good. Down below, we can always adjust the number of columns, but for our purposes, a 2-column layout should be just fine. So here, AgilePoint is suggesting a name for our entity, employee data. That looks good to me. And as you're seeing down below, it has automatically suggested the primary key as being the employee ID. Now, in my case, that's working fine, but as you're seeing here, I can associate other fields as my primary key if I so desire. Okay, so getting into the home stretch here, AgilePoint is asking if we need any other application components, things like connection strings to external systems, document repositories for any attached files, CSS, etc. We don't need any of these for now, and we can always add them later on if need be. So with that being said, in just a couple of seconds here, AgilePoint is now assembling my application for me. So all that we'll have to do is give it a quick preview, deploy it, and we're ready to go. All right, now as with any form-based application, you're seeing a number of components were automatically generated for me. By that I mean there is a new form where I can enter new employee records, an update form in case I need to make any changes to the employee details, 3 views, all records, as well as recently created and recently modified records, with a corresponding lookup for each of those views. All right, so here's my application. Everything is looking pretty good so far. So let's just give this a quick preview to test the functionality that AgilePoint has implemented for us. So you're seeing here employee ID is grayed out. That's because this is preview mode, so that field will automatically be filled each time we add a new record. Drop-down lists have been populated, so everything is looking pretty good. So now all we have to do is save and check it in, publish it, and our application is ready for use. Okay, so let's launch. So what you're seeing here is a list view component, again, automatically built by AgilePoint behind the scenes. You're seeing those 3 views that I mentioned for recently created, recently modified, as well as all records. And by clicking the plus icon here, I can add a new employee record to my table. Okay, so with that, that concludes the content for this video. I hope this gives you a sense of just how quickly and easily AgilePoint can transform those existing Excel sheets into a working business application. I think as we all know, Excel, for better or worse, runs a large portion of all of our businesses. And this feature addresses a number of the key constraints and limitations of that approach. As you'd seen earlier, Excel offers a very limited set of field formatting options. which is greatly expanded upon in the AgilePoint world, moving from a handful of column types in Excel to more than 70 interface controls to easily validate data. And most importantly, eliminates the challenge of understanding which is the most recent version of this Excel sheet. All too often, those sheets are stored on someone's desktop and sent back and forth through email, and it can be difficult to understand the current version of the truth. So addressing a number of the common challenges associated with running your business processes in Excel, and as you've seen, this ability to import an Excel sheet and automatically create a business application removes all technical barriers to create such an app. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.